you imagine?
Jesus.
We're allowed to swear.
You're allowed. I really don't want to be here.
You better.
Hi everybody and welcome
Can you imagine?
Table where people talk about stuff.
a book.
Period.
No.
Probably start this camera over here.
For real. Hi everybody and welcome to episode 32 of Nights at the Round Table. Today we are discussing the 1997 film Gattaca. And this is a film in which a man tries to realize his dream of going into space in a future where there is profound discrimination based on genetics. And I'd like to start with general impressions of the book. Who would like to go first? Of the book, of the film? Who would like to go first?
Ladies first.
I'm not a lady. What's wrong with you?
Alright, that's you, John.
Ladies first then. This is the first time I had seen the movie, and I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. The premise is something that, I think people, back in '97 would be like, oh, the future is modifying genes. Yeah. Where now is we already do it with vegetables and other stuff. So, I mean, it's an interesting premise. I quite liked it. The premise of, the opening, they say, it's not just, oh, you don't discriminate on, gender or race anymore. It's just one thing you discriminate on now. It's genetics. So it's kind of like, oh, all that other discrimination has fallen away, and now there's just one super thing to be prejudiced about. So that's better. Less hate, maybe.
This is another movie that I watched several years ago. I was sad when I watched it the first time, and I still found myself kind of sad this time around as well. Just what they talk about and what we can see in society today just really brings a lot of these issues to light, and it's more of a ethical issue with this movie, where by the end of it, you're conflicted in the whole sort of story as it progresses. Like, how do you feel at the end of it? And it's one of the few movies to actually do that. So I enjoyed it. It's just kind of sad.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I really liked the way it was filmed. It was like a futuristic film noir, which is a really interesting way to do it. Right down to the design of the cars. I mean, the cars were electric, but they looked old-timey. And the clothes were fairly modern structure, but they had a whole bunch of old-timey accents to them.
Yeah, everyone was very cookie cutter too. I don't know if you noticed, everyone kind of dressed the same.
Yeah. So I liked the way it was filmed. The story was really, really, really interesting. I like the imagination behind the idea of a genetic underclass. It's not, I don't actually like a genetic underclass. Just for the record.
You don't hate on genes.
I don't, no. And it was fascinating to follow this guy who dreamt of something bigger than society said he could be. And yes, I do feel conflicted because how he went about it was not especially great.
Yes.
Well, technically he was a bit of a criminal.
Committing fraud.
Yeah, identity fraud is essentially what he's doing. Slightly more fancy, sciencey version of, but it was still identity fraud.
Yeah, well, but I also understand it, right? Because how else would he ever have achieved what he achieved if he didn't not have to?
He wouldn't, because society is too mean.
Yes, society is mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
As most future movies, society has gotten really mean.
Yeah. Gotten. Like it isn't already.
Yeah.
And I also like the idea of having two brothers, one who is a natural born or God birth, and the other one who was genetically selected.
Both sides of the tracks.
Yeah,
imagine that.
In the same family, and I like that particular dynamic very much. I thought it was super, super, super interesting, especially since the genetic selection didn't necessarily make you the better of the two.
Yes, exactly. And with Jerome, what happens, like Jerome is the one that says to Vincent, okay, you know what, I'm going to, basically, you're going to become me, and
I'm
this
going to
is
let
how
you
it's gonna-
assume my identity.
Yes, and so that you can pursue your dreams, because I can't, I'm a paraplegic, I can't do this. And he is not happy, even though he was genetically perfect according to that society. He tried to kill himself. You know, he was not happy at all. And so I think part of what the movie is telling you is don't try to be perfect, try to be happy. Strive to be happy, because there are plenty of celebrities, millionaires that are out there that are diagnosed with depression and all of these things. They're so, like, going to drugs, they're doing crazy, crazy things. So just because you have all the money in the world doesn't mean you're a happy person at all. And it's kind of an interesting movie to bring that to light. You can have everything and still not be satisfied.
Well, it's also the idea of false promise, right? Because he genetically was supposed to be like perfect in the top percentile of humanity, but the medal he won was silver.
Yeah, he was
second
he was
best.
very bitter about that.
Yes.
Yeah, and so just because you have the best of everything doesn't actually make you the best. And you see it again sort of mirrored in the brothers, where the genetically chosen brother isn't the best necessarily. And it's, poor Jerome though, Jesus. Worst death ever.
Yeah,
oh
that
my
was.
God.
I saw that starting to come at the end. I was like, oh.
Well, I suspected it.
That's where this is going. Oh, extra.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I suspected that
Crispy.
was where it was going to head for him. Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, what
God.
a way to go! Like, you couldn't OD on pills or something. You had to.
Well, he liked
Well,
booze.
he-
I thought he would have chosen
See, the
that
thing
method.
is, he's so intelligent, and the way he tries to kill himself is jump in front of a car. You couldn't have come up with something else.
Well, he says that right. You didn't even get that right. But yeah, I mean, I would have, even if you want to throw yourself in the incinerator, because it's a good idea, it gets rid of all the genetic evidence, right? Wouldn't you like want to OD on like painkillers first, so that by the time you hit the button, you're not going to feel much at all, instead of, you know,
Just
sitting in a
hop on
ball of flame while you're still alive?
Exactly. Yeah. It's
To each his own.
Well, jeez, because I knew it was heading towards his eventual death, but the manner in which he did it, I just sat there going,
Exactly, and that's why when you get to the end of the movie, you're really happy for Vincent, because he bested everybody despite his genetic flaws and all of that. He figured it all out. He made it all work, and he got to his dream. He got to go up in space, and Jerome at the same time is dying. And so at the end of the movie, you're like, I don't know how to feel about this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
yay!
he clearly didn't want to kill himself again right away. Otherwise, he could have easily like wheeled himself to a hill and just gone off, a pier or something and drowned.
Well, that was if he could make it out. I mean, there was that whole scene where he's like desperately getting up the stairs
But,
just to...
he still could have killed himself by taking a bunch of pills or something before then. So after his first failed attempt, he obviously didn't feel like quite going yet. And I guess maybe he felt, maybe helping Vincent was his way at some sort of redemption or something.
Yeah, see, because one of the lines that I love in this movie is when Jerome says to Vincent, I just lent you my body, you lent me your dream.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's so lovely.
Yes.
Right? Because it's, speaking from experience, before I found out what I really wanted to do with my life, it's hard being aimless. It's really hard.
It really
And
is.
so that particular line that's beautiful. I love it. I have a question though about the use of contact lenses, because you would be able to see the scars if you've got corrective surgery. But isn't going up into space like some crazy G-force thing that would suck the contact lenses like right into your eye? Would that not be?
I'm guessing he was like, I'll just pop them out before we hit the big button and go up.
Yeah, well.
If he managed to get that far, doing all the stuff he did to dodge everyone, you think he would be like, oh, I'll just rip my ass before to go out? Oh. As he did in the scene
As
in the
in,
tunnel.
in the tunnel,
Oh,
where
yeah,
you drop
that's
the contact lens.
Stealth contact drop.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually that easy. I don't wear contacts, so.
No, neither
I
do
don't
I.
know.
I have no idea. And this is nothing to do with anything except at the scene where the cops come into I want to call it a speakeasy because it really felt like a speakeasy, and.
Oh, where all the non-genetically modified people were
Yeah.
gathered and they were rounding them up to
No,
test them?
no, at the club.
Oh, yes.
With who was Uma Thurman's character again? What was her name?
Irene?
Irene, thank you. Where Jerome and Irene run out the back. I would like to know, Uma Thurman, how the crap did you run in that dress?
Oh, yes.
It's like this super
It
sleek
was-
gold
yeah.
thing. And I have no idea how she managed
Movie
it.
magic.
Yeah, movie magic, I
Must
guess.
Wire work.
But it's a small problem to have with the movie, but honestly, I was watching this going, how on earth could you possibly? Yeah.
Something I really noticed, especially when after the movie was over, and I was thinking about it, is that, you know, at first it kind of seemed like, oh, Vincent's parents, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this kid that's not gonna be, you know, genetically tweaked with, and yeah, it's the right thing to do. But in the delivery room, you could kind of see where, with his dad, he started to doubt that decision. Whereas the mom was like, oh yeah, I love him, he's great, we're gonna name him. And she goes to say, you know, we're gonna name Anton after the dad. And he was like, well, no, Vincent's a really nice name too.
And then
Because it's like at the last minute, he's doubting whether or not they were doing the right
yes.
thing.
And then they
Yeah.
give the genetically perfect son the name Anton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was interesting how the mom didn't even think about that. She's like, no, this is our boy, we're gonna name him like we thought, he's fine. Whereas the dad, right after they said, you know, or they're reading the stats of the issues he could have, oh, he's only gonna live till he's like 30. And he was like, geez, 30. Is he gonna have time to get grandkids? Is probably what he was thinking. And he was like, we'll not give you my name.
Yeah, and it was touched on again later in the confrontation between the two brothers, where Anton says to Vincent, you know, our parents died thinking they outlived you.
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
Did you?
Totally missed that.
I was sibling rivalry issue. I was paying particular attention to the confrontation between the two brothers.
I think with the two brothers, I paid a lot more attention to the swimming battles that they always had, and I really loved the last one when, you know, he's like, you know, you're never gonna get out there, they're gonna catch you, you know, and he's like, you know what, we're gonna do this swimming thing one last time,
Yeah,
and they go out into the ocean, and then he's like, how do you do it, how do you do this, and Vincent simply, like, it's simple, I never saved enough for the way back. Like, he always expected to die, and if you're expecting to die so early, then you have nothing that you need to prove extra to anybody. It's just, if you know you're gonna die, then why bother?
Yeah.
So
Why
he's
not
like,
go on?
why not? You know. That's good.
Yeah, I liked at the start of the movie when Vincent and Anton are still boys and Anton picks up an apple to eat it. And Vincent's like, no, you can't eat that, that's Pluto. Pluto's not a planet. Anymore. I guess in the near future it becomes a planet again, and it's not far from the truth, because I remember reading a headline. I didn't read the actual article, but the headline was literally, is Pluto a planet again? I don't know.
That'll
Internet
be
answer.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So maybe they changed their minds again and Pluto is now a planet in the near future.
That would be awesome.
It was interesting how they brought up how there seemed to be no ethical dilemma about tweaking your kids' genes so they would be good. And then it started to see, you could see where they were starting to push that when they went and saw the performance of the piano player. Because at the end he throws the gloves out to the crowd and Uma Thurman's character picks it up and puts it on, and you see there's one that's slack and shows that, hey, he's got extra digits.
Did anyone else think of the Princess Bride when she put on that glove? I totally went the six-fingered woman. Man.
That's funny.
So
I couldn't help myself.
it showed that they had already sort of crossed one threshold of ethics, and then they're already starting to push the next one. It's like, okay, well, why not give everyone extra digits?
Yeah, depending on what it is you want them to do.
Or start tweaking people more than what they were, as far as just, oh, you'll be really healthy and physically you'll be, very strong.
And the whole idea of genetically altering your progeny isn't that far-fetched.
No, it's not.
Because it's already been talked about.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's good and it's bad. And it really depends on what you're talking about, that it's good versus bad. Like if you're just, I want to have a perfect kid, then you can morally look at that like, well, you know what, that's
even
not...
today, everyone wants the perfect kid, helicopter parents that are micromanaging their kids' lives, and they go to do, the perfect school and they do all the right activities, This movie with genetically modifying your kid is not a whole lot, a more sciencey step, to the side to a part of that whole machine of, oh, you gotta have the kid perfect, watch the baby Einstein stuff, it's bullshit. All that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And the idea of a genetic underclass, I said this already, I like that as an idea. Not in practice, just as like a sci-fi
Whoa,
idea.
there.
Yeah, I know.
Captain Impressive.
Hail Hydra. As sort of an idea for an almost dystopian future, the idea that the underclass is based on genetics rather than any other qualifier, it's not as unbelievable as some people might say. I found it incredibly believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find that sort of snobbery based on like what is perceived to be good now, like, oh, my daughter learns the violin, what's your daughter doing playing the kazoo, that kind of thing. The kazoo.
Rocking out.
Rocking out, right? That kind of snobbery still exists now, and I can see it in relation to a genetic underclass. It's not unbelievable at all. So all the other stuff aside, that idea of a genetic underclass, I think, was particularly good and believable, and made the story much more immersive for me.
Something that I ended up looking up was in the year that the movie was released and the following year, I'm not sure if it was 97 or 98, the United States was trying to pass a law about you are not allowed to discriminate against people because of their genetic coding for employment or for health insurance. And then that law wasn't actually passed officially until 2008. And it exists, and it's called GINA. I can't remember what it stands for, but it's actually out there. So they were really worried about it when this movie came out, so.
Yeah. Also, in the future, people still smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, I thought that was very funny. I'm just like, okay, so you're engineering yourself so you'll be, healthy and strong and everything, but still, it's great to pump yourself full of cancer sticks.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so odd. I was like, okay, even Captain, America there, in the wheelchair, his legs are busted, but it's like, the broker that talked to Vince was like, oh, this guy's gonna live forever, and I'm just like, not that rate, he's not. He's just like smoking and drinking, and just like, yeah, pound him back, legs gone, don't care no more.
Yeah.
But even everyone that wasn't disabled were drinking and smoking like there was no tomorrow. I'm just like, maybe they've engineered people's lungs so they can just filter all that stuff out or something. It's just smoking still cool, kids.
Yeah, and the thing is, it works in the context of sort of the film noir that feel of the movie, but I still found it ridiculous for the futuristic setting that everybody was still smoking.
I'm surprised they didn't have it more as the upper class maybe were having sort of non-alcoholic drinks, or like weren't smoking, or had it just give the illusion that they could feel fancy, but then the genetic underclass were the ones that are still like really boozing and smoking. They're like, well, my life is screwed up anyway, I don't care if I do it, right?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't make sort of a differentiation like that.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so any parting thoughts before we go on to our ratings?
I like how they explained the message at the very end.
You didn't get it at the beginning?
Well, yes, but they had to say it again just to be sure. And then if you're gonna pretend you're right-handed, pee like a right-handed person.
Yes.
Because clearly that's gonna blow all your cover. It's how you hold your junk when you have a waist.
I'm super glad that they brought that up because I'm like, there is no way that this doctor who works so closely with Jerome would not know that Jerome was not actually Jerome.
Exactly.
And he was,
There were two-
he was actually peeing because he, complimented him on his equipment.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
I'm just like, you don't have to make it awkward, guy. You just be like, yeah, what you doing? Peeing? Well, that's good. You're supposed
That's
to
what
be.
we want, yeah, okay, yeah. Hey!
But clearly, like, either they were looking for making sure, people weren't using a bunch of drugs that were going to screw up the space program, or that obviously this identity theft thing in the future with stealing people's identities must be very prevalent.
Or at least enough that
Enough,
they would
yeah,
take
that they would
such
be-
precautions.
All the time at this
Mm-hmm.
facility, yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing that was interesting on the DVD and I'm assuming on the Blu-ray, there is a deleted scene called Coda, where it shows that if we were able to manipulate genetics to pick your children, we wouldn't have John F. Kennedy, we wouldn't have had Stephen Hawking, we wouldn't have had Albert Einstein, and it goes through a bunch of other people. And then at the very end, it basically says, and even you might not exist today. That was really scary.
Yeah. That could go into a whole different debate that I'm going to leave alone for now.
Yes,
That's
it does.
sort of flirted. I didn't see that bit because I watched mine online rental, so.
Yes, I also watched an online rental version that did not have that extra scene.
You know this is going up on the internet, right?
Which is where I viewed the movie from.
Yeah. Alright, so if you were to give it out of 5 stars,
I'm gonna go consistency, 4. I
4.
really enjoyed it. It really makes you think, and I do enjoy the occasional movie that really makes you push your boundaries of what you think is right and wrong and what you're willing to accept. So I really love it. It's really good. It's worth your time.
I enjoyed the theme a lot. I like the questions it posed throughout the movie. There's probably holes in it because, it's science fiction, I'm sure.
emphasis on the fiction.
Yeah, I'm sure, the extra fingers, but it would have made more sense if he had 8 fingers. But, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'd give it 4.
4, yeah.
It was entertaining. I like the premise. The actors in it were good.
Same for me, I give it a 4 for much the same reason. It was a really interesting movie, the questions for it. I love the way that it was filmed.
Yes.
I love that it was filmed as a noir instead of, straight up science fiction.
Yeah, everything's
Yeah.
shiny,
Yeah,
not to blind
shiny
you.
and sterile, but it wasn't. The colors were grungier, the cars were older looking, the style of clothing was older looking, everybody smoked.
Gotta love smoking in the future.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked the movie a lot, and if I had more science background, I could probably pick it to pieces. But I don't. So just on an entertainment level, I thought it was great. Hush, Tom. So yeah, 4. Who wants to pick the next one?
You. I did
Okay,
this one, so.
Oh yeah, she did.
And the winner is
Can you read it?
Pitch Black.
Yes! I love this movie.
This is an amazing movie.
It's
Oh,
not, you know what, it's not the best movie on the face of the planet, but I don't care, I love it.
I
So,
know, it's great.
in a fortnight, we will be reviewing Pitch Black for you. If you want to join the conversation, leave a comment down below, don't forget to like and subscribe, and join us on Facebook and Twitter. Okay, bye! I have no idea what you're talking about.